I feel great.
Look good, feel good.
I look good all the time, and I feel great some of the time. 30% of the time, it works every time. This is episode 82 of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I am B Money, the producer. That over there was Weekend Trav. We're coming to you live. Well, live for us, not live for you, but you're watching us. And we're coming to you from the TH Boxing facility, the second floor in the podcast room. Weekend Trav, we're back together in person.
What's up, B-Money? Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, absolutely. So by the time you're watching this, which this episode drops on Wednesday, we will already be off of that 3-day weekend, Memorial Day, celebrating and honoring fallen heroes of the United States, wartime heroes of all the branches of the military. Thank you so much to all the families and friends and loved ones, but we honor and pay respects to those that have fallen in the line of service for our beautiful country. Cheers.
Thank you guys for serving.
And gals.
This is actually very true. I have to be careful with that because nowadays I would get in trouble, but I usually say guys or people or
gals. Guys. I say guys. Guys is kind of inclusive.
Just usually say that and not really trying to seclude.
In the Goonies, when Sloth said, "Hey, you guys," there were girls in that group.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, you can't do that nowadays because people take it wrong.
Yeah,
but I don't mean it wrong.
It wouldn't be as funny if he was saying, "Hey, you guys and gals." That'd be kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, I probably would.
Okay, so anyways, we digress. This is the #1 Beards, Bourbon, and Boxing podcast shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically in Laureate Park, specifically in a boxing gym, specifically in the second floor of a boxing gym in the podcast room, shot on a Sunday or Monday. Today is Sunday, and it drops on
Wednesday morning.
In the world.
In the world.
That is our demographic, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have yet to subscribe, do so below wherever you're finding this on Rumble, on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the audio sources, whether it's Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Amazon, Prime, Alexa, whatever, everywhere. Google Podcasts, there's a lot of different audio sources, and we kind of push out to all of them. So just definitely subscribe. Give some feedback, comments below. We appreciate you all.
Because if you don't subscribe, I am going to come to your house.
Is that me? Hello?
Hey, have you subscribed to our podcast?
No.
Right in the face.
Right in the face? Well, that's different. Used to be in the stomach.
I know, but you know what? I'm stepping my game up because we are that important that now it was just a gut check, and I wanted people to know that, hey, I'm giving you a chance now because I punched you in the stomach, but now I'm going to punch you in the face and knock them out pretty much like Romero got knocked out this weekend.
Boy.
And then when you wake back up, I'll knock on your door again.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, you should probably subscribe to our podcast.
It's going to be boom. I think that'll sound like a door knocking. Anyways, okay, so Weekend Trav, good to see you.
Pretty loud.
It's great to see you. It's hot as hell here in Florida right now, and you are definitely in Weekend Trav attire. The gear's looking good.
I'm so comfy, bro. Listen, I'm on the full outfits again, dude. I'm on the full outfits.
Jeez.
The shorts.
Look at that. Look at that.
I got another one.
Standing room only.
This is so comfortable too. It feels like pajamas and silk. Nothing touches this body but silk. I'm just kidding. It's not really silk, but it's actually silky like.
Rayon.
It's really, really comfortable.
Okay. Well, so you had alluded to the fight. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Gervonta Davis and Rolando Romero as they fought yesterday. But what we do want to first is thank a couple of partners of ours. That's TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. For your media support, IF Enterprises.
We appreciate you guys.
And also my friends at Bang Energy. Thank you so much for keeping me going today. So, Weekend Trav, we had the pay-per-view on Showtime yesterday coming from New York, and that was one Gervonta Davis taking on Rolando Romero for the secondary WBA lightweight title, something like that, the weird title.
It's a BS title, but yeah.
Okay, but
it's
it was
not the
for
real
something,
one.
yeah.
It's not the real one.
Yeah.
It was a lot of for bragging rights too. And to be fair, nowadays it's not the titles that really sell fights because this fight was sold out, I think 18 or 19,000 people live, which was pretty awesome. Great. I really didn't think that was going to happen.
I didn't think
we
so
were
either.
talking about this. We were like, who really cares about this fight? And it ended up being $75 on pay-per-view. Yeah. And I'm curious to see those numbers. If they did 100,000 buys, I will be shocked. If they did 100,000 buys, that's a success in my opinion.
Wow.
For that fight.
Wow.
Because I don't know how it was a pay-per-view. I really don't. And just to be fair, I just genuinely Are they talented enough to be pay-per-view? Yes. But the difference between a pay-per-view fighter and being talented is, can you sell?
Right.
Okay, you can be the best in the world, doesn't matter. But can you sell?
They tried.
That's the people get on pay-per-view.
They definitely tried. There were shenanigans leading up to this thing the weekend of.
I think they were real, too.
Yeah, they looked real. A little bad blood between the two. And then also on the final face-off, Gervonta Davis notoriously gave a little nudge to Rolly Romero and kind of pushed him off the stage. And a little back and forth, whether or not he was going to fight, It's shenanigans.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm going to give Gervonta a little credit on this one because Rolly pulled the hole when they faced off and they turned to the cameras, right? Rolly did a little sidestep in front of him and flexed. Okay, listen, you do that to me, I'm probably going to give you a little nudge. And to be fair, it was just a little nudge, but there was a little fall off.
It was just a little nudge on the back of the tricep or something like that. Come on.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it knocked him off the platform though because it was that.
Someone that moves so weird and unorthodox in the ring, I think you can keep your balance if you just get nudged by the tricep.
Oh, you're probably not. You're not wrong because he really didn't push him that hard. It was literally like, hey, get out of the way, and he just fell off the platform a little bit.
And he was probably like, hey, man. Hey, what's up with that push?
Listen, I'm telling you, if you talk like that, you have to be Mike Tyson.
You got to be able to hit somebody hard.
Period. It's just that's like there's no other person in the world that can talk like that and get away with it. And that one person is Mike Tyson. Yeah. It's not Rolly Romero.
And listen, we're not going to necessarily just take away from Rolly Romero because of his audio displeasure that comes out of his mouth. We're gonna rip on him a little bit because of the performance that we had in the ring on Saturday. Trav, walk us through this fight and the obvious finish, and just kind of what we're looking at now. Next step here for Gervonta Davis.
Listen, I'm gonna walk you through this fight just like Rolly walked into that left hand.
Oof.
Because he did. First, it was ended up being the 6th round. Rolly Romero got knocked out with a counter left hand on the ropes, much like Marquez versus Pacquiao, literally, and it was just like it. Same spot almost and everything. But the first 6 rounds, the first 5 rounds were actually extremely competitive. Mm-hmm. And all the reason I say competitive is because Tank didn't land very much, but he didn't throw very much either. You could tell that he was literally very calculated, and he was being very careful because, in everybody's credit, they both talked a lot of crap to each other. Rolly Romero was like, oh, he can't punch, he's slow. And I'm sure Gervonta was like, oh, you can't punch either. But to be fair, the way they both fought early, they both respected each other's power. Yep. Yes. And Gervonta's a smart guy. This is one of the first fights that I've really, really watched his methodical behavior and his... he just doesn't seem very intellectually smart to me outside the ring. And I'm just being honest, he doesn't. But, and I've never really seen it translate. I always just thought he was faster and he hit harder than most people. That's why he won, right? But I think last night on Saturday, he showed me that he's very methodical. He can break a guy down. He can dissect a guy much like Mayweather.
Interesting.
He did a very Mayweather-esque performance, meaning he gave up about 3 or 4 rounds in that fight where he was more defensive and figuring him out.
And I'm pretty sure the stats showed 24 landed connections by Gervonta Davis over the course of 6 rounds, including that last left hook that sent Rolly Romero into the ropes.
And the scorecards reflected that. The scorecards had 2 of the scorecards, I believe, had Gervonta winning by 1 point. One scorecard had Rolly winning, I believe. So up to that point, you could tell that Gervonta was being very methodical about his stuff. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, oh my God, Rolly was in that fight. Rolly was in that fight because Gervonta let him be in. Because we fight 12-round fights, okay? Gervonta didn't care if he gave up 3, 4, 5 rounds. It was only the 6th round. He didn't care if he literally, it was a risk reward. His risk was, yes, he was going to give up some early rounds, but his reward was, I'm going to figure this guy out. And that's what I was impressed with. Like I said, he's very talented. He's extremely fast. He's got great reflexes, and he can punch. That's zero doubt about that. But once you get to this upper echelon level of the Canelos and guys like that, you can't just be talented. You have to be super smart. You have to be dedicated. You have to literally stick to your game plan. And I believe because Gervonta stuck to his game plan, because the first 3 or 4 rounds were a little sketchy. There was a couple times where I thought actually Gervonta got thrown to the ground too, like in round 2 or 3. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think Rolly's kind of manhandling him a little bit and kind of inserting his dominance, which if I'm in Rolly's camp, I'm like, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to bully this guy.
Absolutely.
You're a little bit taller. You do hit pretty hard. Bully this guy. Make him feel your power. And he did early because Gervonta was very, very cautious. And you could tell. It wasn't that he never was worried, I would say, but you could tell he respected it. So he stayed away. He slipped. He dodged. And then exact moment when he was just like, okay, I'm going to turn it on now. And that's... So for a counter puncher, and that's what Gervonta is, he's got great reflexes, right? He's a super great counter puncher. So if you come forward to a counter puncher, you're doing half the work for him, right? And that's exactly what happened. Rolly was approaching and pressuring Gervonta on the ropes. Literally, Gervonta's back was touching the ropes, and Rolly came in, lunged with the punch. Gervonta came over the top, tagged him. Not even one of Gervonta's hardest punches at all.
It wasn't.
But it was so very well placed and pinpointed.
It was well placed. He wasn't even looking.
It was
just a reflex hook.
And that's how
everyone look at the still photos of that shot, and maybe we can put it on the screen here. But if you notice, and you get a lot of this, I mean, Gervonta, his eyes were closed, everything. He was looking the other way. It was just a reflexive move, and he got him perfect.
It was a brilliant move because what you do is you do that. You kind of pull back.
Yep.
And you're kind of leaning over out of the way of everything. And he probably didn't realize. It was probably a flash second that his eyes were closed. I'm sure probably it was just that catching of the camera. But regardless, it was just a perfectly placed punch. And it was also, Rolly was doing the work for him. Coming forward, and Gervonta was coming forward. And when that happens, you're creating that just like that kinetic energy, both of you going forward. It made it worse.
Romero was throwing the same stuff again at him. And listen, do you think this was more of a situation of Tank Davis's boxing IQ on display and it's improved, or was also a lack of boxing IQ for Rolly Romero in his corner?
I think that it was a little bit of Gervonta's IQ going up. I really do. I do, because he could have. He set that stuff up early on because what he was doing was on the ropes. Normally, the first 5 rounds of that, when Rolly was throwing punches on the ropes, Gervonta was slipping, moving, holding. Slipping, moving, holding, getting out, spinning out. And then this one time, he bounced off and he punched off of it. And I think he lulled Rolly asleep because Rolly was thinking that maybe he's going to come in, hold him again, or spin out or get out and run, because he was doing that. So not to take a lot away from Rolly, Rolly came in with one game plan and he doesn't know how to change it up. Yeah. You were right. He did the same thing for 5 or 6 rounds, and Gervonta, being a good fighter that he is, figured it out, and he changed his game. And that's the difference. I talk about this many, many times, and many people will. There's the good fighters and the great fighters. The good fighters do what they do really well. They do. But once they come up against a little roadblock halfway through a fight, good fighters don't know how to change because they're really good at what they do. They just don't know how to do anything else. And guys like Floyd Mayweather, and I don't want to put Gervonta there yet. I'm not, so don't get me wrong there. But Gervonta changed. He figured it out, and he was just like, I'm going to do a certain thing for the first couple rounds. I'm going to give up a couple rounds, and then I think he figured it out. I give him credit. I give his IQ a lot of credit on that one. I think that he outsmarted Rolly. Plus, he's got phenomenal talent. He's got phenomenal reflexes, and he's got phenomenal power. And why I don't say it was like his hardest punch, I still think it was a hard punch. I just don't think it was. I don't think it was a flush turnover, crack him over, but it was perfectly placed, perfectly timed. And Rolly, sometimes when you talk shit, man, you got to back it up, and when you don't, we're going to go on a podcast later, and we're going to talk about how you got your ass knocked out.
That's just how it goes. You're going to write the check. It's going to get cashed, and in this case it was. And you know what? It might not have looked like Gervonta Davis's hardest punches he ever thrown, but Rolly Romero's legs were wobbly.
He was done.
Not just after he got hit, but if you kind of watch some clips afterwards when he's walking back to the back, he's still wobbly.
Well, he was confused, bro.
I mean, that's solid. He was hit perfect on the button.
100%. You know that when a fighter doesn't protest and make a big stink about the stoppage, because for the people listening to us, Rolly got up to his feet.
Yeah.
And the referee counted, and he was staggering.
He was.
One of his legs was wobbly. He looked like a drunk guy at the bar on last call, and they were cutting him off.
But he tried.
And that's what happened.
He had his gloves in.
Oh, massive respect because he did. He wanted to.
No, there's no way he would have. His own safety was in jeopardy at that point. And hopefully the terminology we're utilizing is okay for any sort of haters that listen to this and say things like, "Oh, they use the word pop." You could tell what kind of boxing guys he's on. Anyways, that's just for some YouTube stuff. So we can draft.
Thanks, haters.
We can draft. So we
still appreciate your views.
Yeah, we do. Thanks for clicking. So Tank Davis, he wins 6th-round TKO, and he retains this weird WBA secondary lightweight title.
On the grand scheme of things, means nothing.
Really
he's
means
not the
nothing.
world champion there.
And we're going to talk about the real world champion here in a few moments, but let's talk next steps here. What are we looking at next for Gervonta Tank Davis?
So Gervonta claimed that his contract was up with Golden Boy, with Floyd Mayweather Promotions, but in the post-fight press conference, which they didn't show on Showtime, he claimed to Leonard Ellerbe, who is the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, he said, "We're still good, right? We're together. I'm still with Mayweather Promotions." And Leonard Ellerbe was like, "Hey, can you say that a little bit louder so everybody can hear you?" Because I think he's trying to get him locked into an oral contract, a verbal contract. But I think probably they'll stay together because honestly, that's where I give Gervonta a little bit of credit because we said this last week in episode 81 where he was a little bit erratic, he's a little bit immature, he's done some stupid things outside boxing. He is a young kid from Baltimore, but he's done some really stupid stuff. He's done some violent stuff, he's done some very, very immature stuff. But last night, on Saturday night in the fights, it was very, very heated. He was talking smack during the fight, after the fight, right when it got over, he went over and yelled in Rolly's face, but then somebody must have calmed him down because then in the post-fight press conference, or inside the ring directly at least, he was super respectful. He pulled it all back, and he was like, listen, he's like, all joking, all crap aside, he was just like, Rolly's a tough guy, and gave him massive respect, and never one time, inside the ring at least, in that interview, bashed Rolly and gave him credit, and was just like, it is what it is. We're looking for bigger and better things. And during that fight, Ryan Garcia was ringside, and I guess Tank was talking to Ryan Garcia during that fight, saying, "You next." So I would love to see it. Ryan Garcia is now coming out and fighting in July, I guess. Yep. But Ryan Garcia is like, "You're next." He goes, "I want you next." And he said some explicit words about Golden Boy Promotions. Ryan Garcia did. He did. Said, blank, blank.
Isn't it weird, though? Like, we can travel.
Relationship, man.
Is it just me? But when I see Ryan Garcia trying to talk all hard like that, it just comes across weird, doesn't it? That's like not him. It like he's forcing it. He's trying to be like as hard and thuggish as he possibly can. But I'm like, dude, you're sitting in there in a second-rate tuxedo in the second row of this match, and you're cursing out your own promotion company, like. But it's coming out of like this pretty boy's mouth. Like, it's hard to take him seriously.
Yeah, it's tough because I know what you're saying is because he's kind of a pretty boy. He is. He's a good-looking kid, and he doesn't have that edge to him.
It's like, okay.
And it feels like he's trying to fabricate that edge.
Well, it's like, okay, so I was a private school kid. I'll admit that. But it's like when the private school, high school kids trying to bow up and curse out like when they're playing like the inner city street basketball team. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound right. It looks stupid. And Ryan Garcia, I don't know. It's hard to take him seriously for some reason in this kind of a situation. Maybe it's also because he had just gambled away $20,000 to Errol Spence, who was in the front row.
He was just ahead of him, which is fair in the boxing world. Errol Spence should be ahead of Ryan Garcia.
He should,
and he's earned that.
So Ryan Garcia made this bet, and it's on camera, it's on video. I can't.
20 G's.
Who was it? Was who was recording that next to Errol Spence?
It was Ellie, I think. Was it not Ellie Sekbak?
No.
It wasn't.
It was
somebody else.
Who was sitting next to Errol Spence? Like,
well, there was Danny Garcia as well, but I don't think he was recording it though. He was in that video too. I thought he was recording it. It could have been, but yeah, he was right next to him as well.
I'm pretty sure he was
I don't know who it was, but like,
anyways,
maybe it was.
But he makes this bet that Rolly Romero is going to take down Tank Davis, $20,000 straight up. Errol Spence obviously takes that bet all day long.
All day. I'm taking that bet.
Yeah. So $20,000 a little light in the pockets today there, Ryan Garcia.
I hope that he paid up. I hope Errol Spence made him pay that up. It was on recording, but who knows? I mean, Ryan Garcia's got it because Ryan Garcia is one of the first boxers to ever be signed by Gatorade. The kid is a pretty boy, but you know what? I think you're right. I think if I am his agent or his PR people, what I'm telling him is, listen, man, play the part of who you are.
Yes.
You are not a Mike Tyson. You are not an intimidator. As much as you want to be, stop pretending because you're not.
You could put as much ink all over your body as you want. No one is accepting that at face value, guy.
No, and you're right. Like, it's like he's just trying to. He so badly wants to be edgy, but he's not.
But he can't be.
But like the thing is, he can fight though. But stop pretending.
Don't be edgy though.
You're not.
You sell soap.
Don't be edgy when you're not.
You sell soap on Instagram, dude. Don't do it.
It comes across as extremely corny.
It is a little corny.
Like
That's the best way to put it.
His personality when he's trying to be tough, when he's actually trying to be like just straight up and genuine is okay. But like you can tell when it's disingenuous.
Yeah.
And when he's not who he is, it's when Ryan Garcia is trying to be Mike Tyson when Ryan Garcia is not Mike Tyson.
No, he is not. So maybe that happens. Maybe at the end of the year. Who knows? Ryan Garcia has to fight some other whoever in July. I don't even think it's been announced, dude. It's almost June. How are they not announcing this stuff? It's going to be some other schlub probably.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to fight Tank now, it better be a schlub.
He needs it.
Because he's got because you don't want to take a risk right now. Because listen, I do think Ryan Garcia is very talented. I do. But don't put him in there with like somebody like the Isaac Cruz who fought Gervonta
they
tough.
pulled that back.
Yeah, so don't do that. If you're going to do that for a tune-up, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
If you're doing that for a tune-up, then Golden Boy is feeding you to the wolves.
Yeah.
And Sean Gibbons, good work. But he's Isaac Cruz guy.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if that'll happen. But if it does, it'd be awesome. But also, I'm not getting my hopes up because what was it, 2021? We were talking so highly about that 135-pound division, the lightweight division, because of Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, Devin Haney, now George Kambosos.
Yep.
That is a hot division, and I'm sick and tired of talking about the potential of that division. Let's just have it.
Well, let's talk about the king of that division weekend, Trav, because he has a battle this weekend. We're talking about George. Did he change his nickname to Ferocious or something like that? George.
I think it was the Emperor is what it was.
I think he changed it. Anyways, George Kambosos Jr. He is the undisputed or I guess undisputed.
No,
or
because
unified.
Because Devin Haney has one of the
titles.
That's
right. Unified champ George Kambosos Jr. taking on Devin Haney down in Australia this weekend. We have to check the times and the way to watch it. But that's coming up this weekend, Trav, and that's kind of, I want to say it's slipped under the radar a bit, but it's one of those where it's like, oh crap, that's in a few days.
It did. I don't think it slipped under the radar, but it snuck up on us for sure.
Yeah.
Because we've known about the fight for a little bit. They've been talking about it for a little bit, but yeah, for us, it snuck up a little bit. But do I have to say it again? How hot is boxing, man? This is a massive fight. This is for all the marbles. This is for the undisputed. Whoever wins this fight is going to be the undisputed lightweight champion of the world.
Yep.
There's going to be no more arguments. There's going to be nothing about it because they will be the undisputed. They will own all 4 of the major belts in that division.
First ever
that's bad.
In that division, lightweight champion will be crowned. So we're not talking about the fake little belt that Gervonta Davis has. We're talking about the real belts, all 4 of them. So I'm trying to look up the dates and times because it's in Australia. The time zone is going to be kind of weird. It's
like 15 hours ahead. Usually, I think it's going to happen on Sunday for us and Saturday for them. Is usually how that works. Depending on it's on the zone, so I don't think it'll be American time.
So it's showing. Okay, I got to find the time zone.
They're like 15 or 16 hours ahead.
Really?
Australia is.
All right, folks, this is going to take some long division and stuff on my part, but it's showing as date June 4th for us, but June 5th in Australia.
So that's Saturday. Oh, so it'll be on. So what they're doing is they're going to play it. Yeah, it'll be Sunday morning for them. I bet.
The main card starts 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Our time.
It's showing the main card for Australia is 10 a.m. Australia.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then.
So they're going to fight in the morning in Australia.
Yep.
Okay.
Which means that I bet he doesn't even fight till afternoon, though.
All right, so they should, saying they should make their way to the ring 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So 11, 12.
So it should be like a traditional pay-per-view. It should be a traditional watch time for us.
10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, it'll be about 1 or 2 p.m., I think.
No. I'm saying that's the time they're listing as for us.
Oh, yeah. For us, it will be, yes. So, yeah.
So it'll be normal.
I was talking about Australia. It's going to be like 1 or 2 p.m.
For all our Australian listeners, yes.
Yeah, where you guys at, bro? We're talking about Kambosos. Like, who's giving Kambosos love other than us?
You know, you get out of church or whatever and get a pint. They drink pints there?
Maybe, because they are very UK
they metric?
like.
I don't know.
driving the wrong side of the road.
So you go out to your local establishment, and you catch a massive boxing match at the same time.
And have a pint
for lunch
in the afternoon.
For lunch.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's always 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock here, and we're drinking this. We're going to talk about this in a few moments.
It
but
actually
let's
is
talk.
7 o'clock.
But we got to talk this matchup, man.
It's a phenomenal matchup.
Big time fight.
We've been massive. B-Money. To be fair, we've been massive fans of this division for 2 years, which is the length of our podcast.
So Devin Haney is traveling. He's without his father, who's been in his corner.
He's not coming?
No. Well, that's a big thing. That's been a big thing. Look it up right now.
I didn't know that.
So
wow.
So we have a lot of excuses already starting to build themselves in.
Nice little gem you got there.
So Devin Haney's been down there now for the past couple of weeks, and so I just think there's a lot of odds against him on this fight.
There is a lot. He's going to Kambosos' hometown. Everything.
I personally am a pretty big fan of George Kambosos. I think he has the upper hand in this fight anyways. So it'll be very interesting. A lot of passion, a lot of energy behind him on this fight with the local crowds. What do we got? What kind of ad are we listening to?
Sunglasses.
Okay. So we can Trav. I don't know. What do you think here on this fight?
Listen, we can't underestimate Kambosos Jr. because he knocked off Teofimo Lopez, who was the undisputed champ after dethroning Lomachenko. So it's tough. I think that Devin Haney only took this fight because he knew that he thinks that he for sure can win. And to make history, what a fight to make history with. Honestly, I think Devin Haney possesses all of the talent, the grit, the smarts, everything to outfox Kambosos, but yeah, I saw that he's stranded right now. So I think that Devin Haney's father might make it,
He
but
may
not.
get it. He may get it, but
Yeah,
as
'cause
of
a
right
week
now,
ago,
he
said
was
stranded.
denied entry.
Australia's a little finicky. Like if you have any kind of like alcohol violations or domestic violations, they usually deny you entry, which you have to get a visa to get there. But back to the fight, I think Kambosos Jr. has the determination, the will, the confidence, all of that in his favor. I mean, that's without a single doubt right now. He definitely has all of that. I just don't know if he can beat a quick, fast, slick boxer like Devin Haney, because Devin Haney's not like Teofimo Lopez.
Right.
Teofomo's got pop. He's got power. He's got it all. So he's got a lot of pop on his punches, but which is a different style, and Kambosos withstood that. But I think that Devin Haney knows better. And Devin Haney doesn't need to outpower this guy. Devin Haney, I think, is going to beat him in a 12-round decision. I think he's going to beat him. He's got the capabilities. For Devin Haney to win, he's got to outbox Kambosos, not make it a brawl, not make it a tough fight, because if he makes it a fight of willpower, Kambosos wins.
Yeah.
This kid's willpower is through the roof right now. His confidence is through the roof. So if you stand in front of Kambosos and you make this a dogfight, he wins.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
So that's your give and take there. Devin Haney, do what you do best. Box, stay on the outside, use your speed, use your smarts, use your intelligence. Keep turning Kambosos. But if Kambosos turns this into a dogfight and pushes Haney on the ropes and keeps him there, or convinces Devin Haney to exchange with him in the middle, he's in trouble, because Kambosos does have really fast hands, actually, and he does have power.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the boxing ability that Haney has, but he does have power and he's fast. So with both of those things, you can counteract Devin Haney's boxing ability if he lets you. So we'll see. Yeah. And the time difference, you're talking about 15, 16 hours ahead. I've been there.
Yeah.
It messes you up.
At this point, Devin Haney should be used to that time zone change. He's been there for a little while. My concern for him would be, who's he have there with him, around him, training him? We haven't seen a lot of like who's there with him, getting him ready for this fight. We've seen with Kambosos, he has the young Puerto Rican kid that we've been high on.
Xander Zayas
is down there. Other people are down there with him, training him. And you know what? One unmeasurable factor in all these fights is heart. And that Kambosos, man, he has that.
That doesn't show up on the stat sheet. That does not show up on the stat sheet.
And what my concern for him after he took down Teofimo Lopez was, okay, is it now going to go to his head? Is he going to be like kind of an interim guy?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. He's taking this in stride, and he looks ready. He looks very fired up. He looks laser focused. So if I'm Devin Haney's camp, I'm thinking, uh-oh. We're in his home turf. We're already down a man. We're down my father potentially, which is a
is
big
huge.
emotional drain.
Even if his father's not there for the fight, he's missing his father in the camp, which is the most important part of it all right now.
So it's just an interesting story. It's an interesting storyline here. And so you're thinking we have Devin Haney dogfight still pulls out the decision victory.
Yeah. I think so. Right now, if you had to make me make a decision right now, I think I'm leaning slightly towards Devin Haney. But just like we all said, I think we honestly might have said the same thing in the Teofimo Lopez fight. Yeah. I think we were like, hey, Teofimo is the favorite. He should probably win, but look out for Kambosos because this guy can fight. And personally, we're going to bet on him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going that far for this one, though. I don't know that he's worth the bet because I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I haven't checked the odds on this one, but it's probably pretty tight. Gosh, I would probably actually, as of where it stands right now with my gut, before really thinking about it, I would probably say the opposite of you and Kambosos in a decision. Hometown discount, double check.
Oh, discount, double check. Nice.
I think he gets the hometown discount on that.
Listen, you could be right because I remember when Manny Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn in Australia. I thought Manny Pacquiao he almost knocked out Jeff Horn in the 8th round and, in my opinion, dominated Jeff Horn. And Jeff Horn ended up getting a decision over Manny Pacquiao in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not out of this world to think that Kambosos can't win a decision there. 100%. He's a bigger figure than Jeff Horn. Mm-hmm. So if it goes the distance and it's a really tight fight, 100% can see Devin Haney losing that fight. Yeah. If it's a tight fight and it's close, which I don't see Devin Haney blowing out Kambosos. I don't see anybody. To be fair, after the performance he put up against Teofimo Lopez, I don't see anybody blowing out Kambosos.
No. I agree with you. I think it's going to go the distance.
Yeah.
So it's the typical matchup. You're going to have high boxing IQ going against passion energy. And that's going to be a very, very interesting dynamic this weekend. Did it say, what is that? It's on.
It's DAZN.
Is it on DAZN?
I believe it's DAZN.
Okay.
Yeah. That's who Haney fights for usually.
Gotcha. So, man, and we're looking at the first ever.
Regardless, unless it was a draw.
True. Which could be too. That's another added element. That's an added element. So I don't know what the Vegas odds look like on that. I haven't looked them up. So that would be an interesting play on that one.
Might be worth it. We might have to update you guys on our Instagram page.
Take a look. I don't have it on this phone.
Check out our Instagram page. Follow us on our Instagram page, Weighing In with Travis Hartman. We update a lot on that as well. We usually only drop one episode a week for our podcast, which is on our YouTube channel every Wednesday morning. But keep following us because leading up to that Devin Haney Kambosos fight, getting closer to it, we'll check those odds out. And
we'll throw a little gut check what we actually think finally on that one. But I think I don't know if I'll change my opinion on the result, and you probably won't either.
Fair.
But we'll talk about it again. We'll put something out there on the internet with regard to it.
On the interwebs.
On the internets. So, Weekend Trav, anything else with regard to this matchup?
I don't think so, but I think it's a fight that people probably should tune into. I think it's a very, very exciting fight. Not only is it a history fight, for sure, because it is. I didn't realize that it was the first time. That's amazing. Anytime there's 4 belts on the line, all of us should tune in because you don't see that often anymore.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Ali days, there used to be one title. There used to be a number one contender. The number one contender fought the champ, and that's how it was. It cycled through. There might have been multiple different titles, maybe back in the day. But recognized. Everybody recognized.
Yeah.
There was one heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
When Rocky Balboa had it, he had the one with the American flag stripes on the side.
So he was the American champion?
No. They use that belt. I don't know which organization uses that belt.
It's probably got other flags on it though.
No, yeah, but it has the red, white, and blue on it. And on the
that's
belt
okay. That's
side.
probably accurate.
So
yeah.
anyways, we digress.
Anyways, speaking of anyways,
in a way, that's another one that's coming up, folks. That's not this weekend technically. It's actually happening on Tuesday. Weird day, weird time.
So after the Haney fight,
that's the rematch. We have the Monster. Inoue.
What's his first name? I don't know. I forget his first name.
I have a hard time saying
the
Inoue.
Monster Inoue. That's all we need to know.
And he's taking on Donaire, right?
He's taking on Nonito Donaire, who I know very well.
For the second time.
Donaire at one time was considered the pound-for-pound best in the world.
This is going to be a pretty good fight.
It's going to be a great fight because Donaire's got a little resurgence later on in his career.
This is way under the radar.
Super under the radar. And it's on a Tuesday. How much more under the radar can you get?
I think it's ESPN Plus. You might have to check that, but I'm pretty sure it's ESPN Plus.
That makes sense because Inoue, I think, does fight on top-ranked cards, so that doesn't make a lot of sense.
What else are you watching on Tuesday? Nothing.
I mean, it's back to the old school, like, Tuesday night fights. USA used to have Tuesday night fights. So, guys, we have Tuesday night fights with a blockbuster fight. In a way, these guys are lighter weight classes, right? But in a way, they call him the monster for a reason because there's huge knockouts. Donaire also has a huge knockout ratio, too. So, usually when people see the lighter weight guys fight, it's more of like a ton of punches and it always goes the distance, though. But these two guys both can punch. Their knockout ratio between the two of these guys, it's got to be insane. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that there is a ton of knockouts between the two of these guys based on their record because they both are knockout power fighters. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight, and I think that just because it's been under the radar does not mean that you should not tune in. But I'm going to tell you right now, you know what I'm going to do? Nonito Donaire.
And Inoue?
Inoue, yeah.
Yeah, I just say Inoue. Yeah, that one is on Tuesday. I'm
going to tell you their knockouts because it's a lot. They call Nonito Donaire the Filipino Flash.
But yeah, I'm trying to add them up here on Inoue's side. There's
Nonito Donaire, by the way, is my age, actually a little bit older because he just had a birthday, but he's 39 years old. Fighting at the level that he's at right now is impressive. He is 42 wins, 6 losses with 28 knockouts.
It's a lot.
It's a lot because he fights in the 118-pound division.
Yeah.
That is so we got, what do we got? 28, I said, and then Inoue, he doesn't have as many. He's only got 22 fights, but he's got 19 knockouts out of 22 wins.
It's pretty solid.
The knockout ratio of this is he's got an 86% knockout ratio. Inoue does. So that's pretty phenomenal. I think you're going to see some fireworks. I don't know if you'll see a knockout or not, but you're going to see some fireworks. You're going to see some bombs. You're going to see a very competitive fight. I don't know if Donaire has enough left in the tank, but I think you're going to see an awesome fight.
You'll probably see it posted a little bit on social media for us because by the time we film next episode, it still won't have happened. The fight will not have happened yet, so you'll probably get a little more social media content from us on that one. But overall, there's a lot of good stuff coming. This weekend alone with Kambosos and Haney. That's a great fight to get jacked up for, right? And jacked up.
Let's get jacked to be money.
Speaking of getting jacked up, we're going to talk about what we're drinking.
Let's do it.
We've been called out recently because we have been drinking leftovers and we haven't had anything new on the bourbon front. And I don't even think sorry to Dale, I don't even think this is necessarily bourbon. This is a small batch whiskey.
It is a whiskey.
But we are drinking Uncle Nearest 1884 small batch whiskey, and that's from the Nearest Green Distillery there in Shelbyville, Tennessee. I don't know where that is in Tennessee. I have family in Tennessee, and I love that state, and one day maybe I'll live there. But for the time being, I don't. I live in Florida here with you in Orlando. Not with you, but, down the road.
I mean, we're pretty much together so much.
We're like 10 minutes away.
Probably have to, pay rent.
So Uncle Nearest 1884 small batch whiskey. Here's some stuff, and you were telling me this in pre-production.
Yeah.
The first known African-American master distiller. Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think there's multiple reasons why this is interesting because I think that this company is now the fastest rising whiskey company in the United States right now. But they're also, it's black owned because it was the first master distiller that was black. But also it says that, let's see, I got a little bit more highlighted about. The man who distilled the whiskey was a black slave named Nathan Green, known affectionately as Uncle Nearest.
Yep.
And he brought with him a special technique of charcoal filtering that he had learned back home when cleaning water in West Africa. This method of filtering whiskey through sugar, maple tree, charcoal became known as the famous Lincoln method, and it's still used today.
Interesting. So his great-great-granddaughter is the curator of this at this point still. So still in the family. We can travel. Let's talk about it specifically. I know it's not a bourbon, but it is something new for us.
I don't taste the maple sugar in it. Yeah. I don't taste that. I don't taste the sweetness. But I know what I'm gonna rate it. But I'm just reading that, I didn't realize that it's not very sweet to me. Is it very sweet to you, or is my taste buds off?
No. And even usually what I do is, even with the ice, I let that kind of melt into it to just cut it down a little. And that usually opens it up.
You know what? I can smell the maple, though.
I can smell it, but I just don't taste it. So, I'm going to be honest, Weekend Trav. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily one I'm in love with.
Well, I can already tell what you are. I can already tell.
I mean, no, it's a little better. I don't know.
I'm just, listen.
Maybe it's my Sourheads Bang energy drink that's throwing me off.
I've never before, though, drinking either a bourbon or a whiskey, I've never before smelled like a maple syrup or smell and then not tasted it. I don't taste it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah. Maybe you have COVID.
Well, I taste something, though. I think I'm COVID-proof, though, B-Money.
Maybe. At this point.
I think.
At this point.
I think. I don't know. But you know what? Maybe I'm going to come down with it like tomorrow really, really bad. You never know.
My father-in-law just got it, and he's like in his 80s. 2 days later, he's fine.
Because does he not know that COVID's over, bro?
I know. We don't talk about it
I'm just
anymore.
kidding. But I'm glad that he's okay, though.
Yeah, me too.
That's actually
me too,
glad
especially
that
for
he's
an older
okay.
person.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes,
and he
I'm
recovered
very
very quickly.
Good.
So Weekend Travel.
What are we going with this? What are we going here?
Let me get a little sip again.
I know where I'm going. You want me to go first?
Go first.
It's pretty solid. So it's not really spicy. It's not really hot. It doesn't really have like a strong, like massive, like alcohol whiskey taste.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of smooth in that regard. So I'm gonna go like a 6.7. I thought it was okay. That's actually kind of high, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I think it's
I
okay.
wasn't blown away by it,
No.
but I also didn't mind it. If somebody had this at the house, I would drink it.
And listen, the storyline's cool, whatever else, but that's not going.
It's actually kind of expensive, though.
The
too,
storyline
so.
is not going to influence my rating by any means. Okay, it's okay. Now, do I find myself if I'm at a friend's house or if I'm somewhere at a bar and I see Uncle Nearest on the shelf, I'm like, ooh, let me reach out towards that. I want to gravitate towards that. No, I'm not going to. Okay, so I've had better small batch whiskeys. I'm going to give this a 6.0.
Oh, straight up.
Which averages out, for easy math, 6.35 boxing gloves out of 10 on the average for us rating-wise, which is still a good score.
But it is. But like I said, the price point, though, was very high.
Really?
It was expensive.
Interesting.
So with that rating,
Yeah.
I would say based on that rating,
Yeah.
for the price of it,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Okay.
If this was more of like a $30 to $35 bottle, I would say in a heartbeat, pick it up.
I wonder if they
It's
do
not
other
bad.
things beyond just the small batch whiskey.
I think they do. I think they have another. Well, I mean, I think it's all whiskey, but I think they have another. They have 1884, and I think they have like an 18 something else as well. I believe, but you can go. They have a website. It's called UncleNearest.com. So Uncle Near, and that's N as in Nathan, Nearest.com. So you can check it out. I'm sure they have
thought
other
that
stuff.
the folks at home were going to get confused with the near, like the N and the nearest?
I mean, Uncle Nearest. I don't.
Nearest? They sound
I
nearest.
don't know.
Nearest.
Listen, you do have
That's
to make
nearest-
sure because the
that's nearest with an
Spotify
N.
listeners could get it mixed up.
It's nearest with an N.
Every single time that I am talking now, when I have to give my email address over the phone, it's boxingth@hotmail.com. I say BOXN as in Nathan, th@hotmail.com.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure for our listeners because
usually
I
with
care.
V's and P's and B's.
I care about our listeners,
I
and I
gotcha.
want them
I
to
gotcha.
know
I
that
gotcha.
if they want to check this out,
They
it's
can.
Nearest.
And that's the website. So what we're going to do...
Like I hold you near and dear to my heart, B-Money.
Thank you.
I'm about to crack. No, but it's Nearest.
Okay. So it's okay. 6.35 boxing gloves.
It's not bad. It's over 6.
Yeah, so it's okay. Weekend Trev, I'm going to go ahead and skip final thoughts because, frankly, I don't have any, and I don't think you're going to have any that are that very good anyways.
Wow.
Not this
just
week.
shot me down.
Not this
like,
week.
Like, literally, you just, like, threw me in the dumpster.
And
Threw me
set
under
it
the
on
bus.
fire.
Oh, my gosh.
Dumpster fire.
I mean, but what about, like, we could briefly sum it up with, we can think another. we can wish people another happy Memorial Day and thank them for their service is what I was going
pretty
with.
Much where
and it went kind of like interaction.
Exactly what I just said, that the final thoughts are over, and that's why I said that.
That's why you're the producer and you know better.
I could see it in your eyes.
Shh, Nikes.
Yeah, I could see it as you.
So why didn't you just say another little blurb about Memorial Day? You should have just took it over.
And I will right here with that there is Weekend Trav with a W. Weekend Trav.
That there is B money with a B, not a V as in Victor.
That's what I usually say when I have to say V as in Victor. Was that the call
Alpha,
sign? Is that
Zulu? It is.
I don't know what it is because I was never in the military.
it's Victor.
But thank you. I mean, obviously, it's this Memorial Day for the U.S. is about fallen heroes. It's not about veterans, though. It's a great holiday in general for our military families and military alike. So we do, from the bottoms of our hearts here at the Wayne and with Travis Hartman podcast, thank you to the families, friends, to active military, but specifically to those fallen heroes of the U.S. military across history. Thank you so much, because we celebrate our freedoms. We celebrate the opportunity to argue with one another about stupid things in our country because of the sacrifices that have been made for our nation at the same time over the past few hundred years. So thank you so much.
Thanks, B Money.
Okay, and that's it. God bless.